Hey everyone, this is Derek 416 Talk. Man, just when you thought you saw it all, now you got ASAP Rocky on stage wearing a thong, making us Bayesian, people look bad. Yo, it's crazy. Yo, what's next?
ASAP Rocky just sent the internet into full meltdown mode. And no, it's not because of new music. It's not because of anything he said. It's because of what people spotted him wearing at his recent concert, what appeared to be a thong, sitting visibly above his waistline while he was performing. Videos spread everywhere. People couldn't stop talking about it. And the reactions have been all over the place. But here's the thing. If you know ASAP Rocky's history with fashion, this moment didn't come out of nowhere. And to understand why it landed the way it did, you need the full context of who this man is as a style figure and what he's been doing with clothing for over a decade now. Let's start with what actually happened at the concert. Rocky was performing, moving around on stage the way he does. Energetic, animated, and at some point his shirt came up and there it was. A visible thong waistband sitting high above his pants. The crowd caught it. Someone filmed it. And within hours, it was everywhere online. People were zooming in, sharing, and debating whether it was real or AI generated. Rocky himself has not addressed it publicly, and knowing him, he probably won't. Because that's also very on brand for him. He makes a move, he lets the world react, and he keeps going. Now, some people immediately started connecting it to Rihanna's Savage X Fenty line, which does include underwear and lingerie options for men. Whether that was a deliberate nod to the brand or not, nobody can say for certain. But the conversation around it says a lot about where we are culturally when it comes to men's fashion and the expectations people still put on male artists. Because here's what gets missed in all the immediate reaction content. ASAP Rocky has been doing this for years. This is not a sudden pivot. This is not a character change. The man has been one of the most consistent gender-fluid dressers in hip-hop for his entire career, and he has talked about it openly and repeatedly. Go back to the pearl necklaces. Rocky started wearing pearls at a time when that was genuinely unusual for a rapper of his stature. Not Fashion Week unusual, street level, on stage, in videos all the time unusual. People reacted then too. He kept wearing them. Now pearl necklaces on men are everywhere in fashion. He was years ahead of where the conversation eventually landed. Then came the designer handbags. Rocky has been photographed carrying bags that most people would code as feminine accessories. And he carried them the same way he carried anything else, casually, confidently, without explanation. In interviews when people brought it up, his response was essentially that he wears what he likes and doesn't think about whether it's supposed to be for men or women. Then the skirts and kilt-style pieces. He showed up to multiple high-profile events in pieces that draped differently than what most male artists were wearing. Again, not as a stunt, not as a one-time Fashion Week moment. As a consistent expression of his personal style that he maintained across different contexts. Rocky has said directly in interviews that he doesn't believe clothing should be limited by gender. He's been specific about it, that fashion is a form of self-expression and the idea that certain items are only for certain genders is an artificial limit that he's not interested in operating inside. That's not a new position he developed recently. He has held it consistently across his career. So when he shows up at a concert with a thong visible above his waistline, that is not a random incident. That is a man who has spent a decade publicly dismantling the idea that what you wear has to match what gender you present as, doing the next version of that exact same thing. The difference between this moment and the pearl necklaces or the bags or the skirts is the intimacy of the garment. Underwear sits differently in people's minds than outerwear. There's a layer of vulnerability there, or at least that's how a lot of people perceive it. And that's exactly why the reaction was louder this time. Not because Rocky crossed some clear line, but because he moved the line further than people expected. Now, the debate that's actually worth having here is what this moment represents in the broader context of how male artists engage with fashion. There's a generation of artists right now who are doing things with clothing that would have been career-ending moves for rappers 10 or 15 years ago. Billy Porter showing up to the Oscars in a tuxedo gown, Lil Uzi Vert wearing dresses on stage. Young Thug building a whole aesthetic around feminine's silhouettes for years before he went to trial. Bad Bunny wearing thongs in his music videos and making it part of his visual identity. Harry Styles in a Vogue cover with a dress. The conversation about gender and clothing in entertainment has shifted dramatically. And A$AP Rocky has been part of that shift. Not as a follower of it, but as one of the people who helped move it forward in hip-hop specifically, where the resistance to this kind of expression has historically been the strongest. Hip-hop's relationship with masculinity has always been complicated. The genre was built on a very specific version of toughness, street credibility, and male identity. And for years, fashion and hip-hop mostly reinforced that. Big chains, jerseys, Timberlands, a particular visual language that communicated strength in a specific way. The artist who pushed against that aesthetic, who wore things that didn't fit that visual language, often faced real pushback. What's changed is that the conversation has become more public and more normalized. When Rocky wears something unconventional and the reaction is a million tweets and debate segments rather than career damage, that's actually a sign of how much has shifted. The controversy exists, but the controversy no longer automatically ends careers the way it might have a decade ago. People are willing to engage with the question even if they're not all landing in the same place. And that's what this concert moment is really generating, engagement with a question that the culture hasn't fully resolved yet. What are the limits, if any, of what male artists can wear and still be taken seriously in their genre? Is there a line, and who gets to draw it? Rocky's implicit answer to those questions has always been the same. He doesn't acknowledge the line exists, so he doesn't operate around it. He wears what he wears. The reaction is other people's business. Some people will always have a problem with it. That's real, and it's not going away overnight. There are fans and critics who feel like certain things just don't belong in certain spaces, and the thong at a concert moment is landing squarely in that territory for a lot of people. Their discomfort is genuine, even if the specific reasoning behind it is worth examining. But there's also a growing portion of the audience, particularly younger fans, who don't have the same invested stake in maintaining a specific vision of male presentation. For them, Rocky wearing a thong on stage reads more like an artist doing his thing than a statement requiring explanation or defense. They've grown up watching fashion become more fluid. This is less shocking to them. What makes A$AP Rocky an interesting case study in all of this is that he has maintained both his cultural credibility and his fashion choices simultaneously for years. He hasn't had to choose between being taken seriously as a rapper and expressing himself through clothing in ways that defy traditional gender expectations. He's proven that those two things can coexist, that the audience for his music is large enough and diverse enough to absorb an artist who operates outside the standard masculine presentation that hip-hop has historically expected. Whether this specific concert moment becomes a bigger cultural flashpoint, or whether it fades into the normal background noise of Rocky doing Rocky, things remains to be seen. If he doesn't address it, most of the attention will move on. If he leans into it, wears something similar again, references it in an interview, then it becomes another chapter in a long and ongoing story about one of hip-hop's most consistent fashion boundary. Pushers. Either way, the moment has already done what these moments always do when Rocky is involved. It got people talking about what men are supposed to wear, who gets to decide that, and whether those rules have ever made sense in the first place. Drop a comment. Do you think A$AP Rocky's fashion choices are ahead of their time? Or is there a line he shouldn't cross?